We've never had press releases on state funding before or while it was being developed. Also, the base cost is based on the cost to educate the student and the cost to operate. And then the pure formula base is on the FAIR model and its actual needs of students. Now, what will remain the same, though, is the process. It has to be reviewed by the House of Representatives, then it'll go to the Senate, and then it'll go to the governor. So that'll still remain the same. So that concludes the part on state funding, which is good news for us. So we will keep a pulse on this, and it may change, it may not. That's why I wanted to talk about, how there's so much traction on it right now. We've never had anything like that before. Any other time we've had it where there was a proposal, and I remember one time it was changed 6 times before we got to the end. And it was nowhere near where you started, but I think this one has so much mileage behind it and work and research behind it. I think this one is really going to change school funding for us.
May I ask a quick question? So understanding that they're going to go on the federal adjusted gross income, where communities such as ours, we're still going to be at a disadvantage a little bit.
Yes.
Compared to the more moneyed communities surrounding us. So will the state do anything to compensate, to provide equitable education for your lower income communities?
Yes. There's poverty add-ons, and there's also add-ons for any children that are living in poverty to make sure they get at least one quality year of preschool.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's add-ons for that, and that's part of the formula, too.
Okay.
And that's the part that comes into the local community part and the capacity to pay. We received great news from the state auditor. The audit is completed for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. This is about the time that it gets released. The district received a clean audit, no findings, no significant deficiencies, no management comments, and clean audit on the federal award. So it's the cleanest audit that you can get. And along with that, we received the award for excellence in financial reporting, and that's attached. That's the last page of the presentation that I handed out. The actual award is right there. And it says that we're in accordance with GAAP and compliance with all the laws. So the school district received a clean audit, which is the highest that you can get, and we received the award. And that concludes my section.
I'd just like to say congratulations, Dr. Ross.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have done such a jam-up job since you've been with the district. We've watched the improvement year over year, and we're very proud to call you one of our own. So thank you. And this is huge accolades on the award that we've gotten from our auditor. So thank you again.
I have one quick question, Dr. Ross. You said that we no longer have to pay for the student that goes to charter school, correct?
If the funding passes, but that's the current
So that's the
formula
plan.
proposal.
Okay. But that does not apply to student that is placed by the court?
No,
But
the
we
students
still-
placed by court is a little different,
Right, I thought so. Okay.
but we still have a lot of students that go to the community schools.
Right.
The last 2 years were $3 million, and then this year we're projected at 2.6. So that would go away.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I have one question, Madam Chair. Dr. Rock, you've done a great job. Like President said, I want to thank you for all your hard work. Also, even completing your book, and a lot of our staff don't know the book that you wrote, and you work with the actual financial department here in Ohio to put that together. Because the formula for the funding of each public school is a very, very hard task, and I want to thank you for taking on that. And if we can get more money in, I'm glad that we can do it for our programs. When do you think that it might hit the Senate floor? When do you think it may? Next year, this year?
Oh, the new funding model? Oh, yeah, they have to have it done by June. That's
Oh,
by
this
law.
year.
Yeah, this June, they have to have it done by.
Okay.
But that's why they started this time 15 months ahead, because they wanted to put more research behind it. They wanted to put superintendents, treasurers, teachers, and put all the stakeholders behind it. Yeah, so it has to be, the budget has to be balanced by June. So we'll know by the end of June.
Thank you for your hard work.
You're welcome. And thanks for mentioning the book. The book, I'm also waiting for this, so then I can update the book, and there will be a new edition coming out. because
Oh,
of the
wow.
New state funding.
Yeah, let us know.
Member Elba, did you have any questions? Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Rock. We're not allowed, this is a school board meeting. I'm very sorry. We're gonna move to item 2. I do need a motion to approve by consent agenda treasurer's report and financial recommendations 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for this board for the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendations for items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba? Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. We do not have any items this week, this meeting under board policy review, so we're going to move to item 4, and I would need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action administrative staff, 4.1, administrative salary schedule.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for this board, the consent superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action administrative staff, looking for 4.1 administrative salary schedule.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. The floor is open for discussion.
I have some questions, Mr. Jolly. So this administrative staff salary, this is going to give them another raise effective when?
This is not giving anybody a raise. This is adjusted based upon the 2.75 the board approved. We didn't complete the scale when we had it approved in, what was that, December?
So the corrections where you had multiple people having multiple titles?
All that is corrected on this.
It's for clarity to make the salary chart adjust more to our current staff and position descriptions.
So, yeah, so the board, so what the team did is looked at it and corrected all the errors that was, just put the job titles in the right positions.
So the 5 days,
Mhm.
is that this year or next year?
That'll be on the next contract, not on this contract. So that is moving forward. The 5 days is moving forward.
You're updating job descriptions as well?
They have been updated. Most of them been updated.
Are there any more questions? If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba? Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. And before we go on, I don't want to appear rude, but during the school board meeting, once the meeting gets started, we can't take any conversation from the floor. This is a meeting just for the board members to conduct the meeting of the district, so I just wanted to explain that. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 5. I need a motion to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action certified staff, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for the consent superintendent recommendation and presentations for board action certified staff. I'm looking for the following items, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Can we open the floor for discussion?
So Mr. Jolly, did this go from 25 to 35?
The new contract moved up to $35.
Okay, starting when?
Yes. Hold on. The directors, the coordinators make $45 an hour. And these are all approved. Right.
Second question, have these coaches already started working, or are they starting after this report?
No, they've started working. The season started in March. We went through the proper process of interviewing and so forth, so they did start. Board policy does allow me to start people before before the official meeting.
I'm aware of that, I'm just asking regarding the band, that because that's been in session all year.
Yeah, so we had some issues with her completing her paperwork, so she just recently completed it.
Are there any more questions? Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Next on the agenda, we can have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff. Items 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff. Looking for a motion following items 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, and 6.7.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Board, the floor is open for discussion.
So I have a question. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Is he just going from one position to another? Is the salary increase, decrease, or stay the
The
same?
salary decreased. He is moving from a bus driver to a transportation aide.
And second question is, so 6.7, it just says employee hourly rate. There's no dollar amounts there. So what is the dollar amounts for each of these?
So these, be working on an as-needed basis. So we will have to determine, so the school security officers, that would be determined by need. The paraprofessionals, again, everything's determined by need. So we will, we can come back with a budgeted amount. The budgeted amount was in the original proposal. When we did the original proposal, those numbers are inside of this, but we could parse the numbers out so that we can have an accurate account of how much the OPSI members will cost.
If I can ask a question, Mr. Jolly, these are their normal hourly rates, right?
Yes, they're normal hourly rates.
Okay, so it's what they make anyway on a.
She asked for a total.
I asked for a total.
I understand.
So the total needs to go here. If we're voting on it, you're saying it's coming out of general fund, you have to have a total because the treasurer has to be able to say that you can allocate. for
I
it.
understand
So
that.
If he can say that he can certify it, that's one thing, but still, you still need the dollar. I want the dollar.
I understand, but I just want to explain so everyone understands, this is their normal hourly rate. It's what they're making already.
And it's just a budget because you don't know how many hours they're
They're
gonna
gonna
work.
work.
until
Right,
after
so we don't know.
it's
It's
done.
based on need.
It's based on need.
And basically, what's gonna occur is that when they develop the budgets for the entire program, these totals were put inside of it. So what we just need to do is just separate the budget and put how much these are.
And
So,
when we do our permanent appropriations in September, this is accounted for. It's the summer program. It's a repetitive program that we have, and I adjust for this
Correct.
in the payroll.
And then final adjustments are made once we know how many actual hours.
right.
Yeah,
and that's
you're not
the-
gonna actually know the actual hours because you don't know how many hours will be, each
Correct.
person's gonna work. But you wanna have them on the coffer to be assigned, to
Right.
be able to be approved to do
Yes.
the work.
Yeah. Because if
Right.
they're not on this list, they'd have to come back before the board to be approved in order for us to pay the.
For them to work. So what we'll do is, the money's accounted for when they submitted the budgets. This money was inside of the budget. So what we'll do is pull this money out so that you can know the exact, how much we budgeted for OPSI members. All right,
All I asked for was dollar amount.
But it would be a budgeted amount, not the actual.
right. And we don't know the actual amount
Right.
because if the programs don't have enough students, then they'll get shut down and then we won't continue the program.
Right.
So we'll know, we'll parse it out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your question, Member Elba. Dr. Rock, if there's no other questions, comments, can we please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba, Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Next on our agenda is item 7, consent for superintendent's programs and presentations for personal and programs. I need a motion on the floor to approve item 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, 7.9, and 7.10.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion before this board for the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for personnel and programs. I'm looking for a motion for the following items: 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, 7.9, and 7.10.
Thank you.
I second it.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been moved and seconded. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. Jolly, 7.4. Who's the person and the salary?
7.4, this is, Ms. Lindsay, can you speak to this, please, extended school year?
Extended school year services is for students with disabilities that show regression over long periods of time. So we have to provide extended school year for those students. It's a small amount of students, but that's what it is.
Okay. So this says approve the school psychologist. I'm just asking for the
Or
person
what
that
is she?
No, who is it
The
gonna
name.
be?
person that we're voting on, the person that we're voting on.
It's on here, but this is how you should look.
Thank you. She, you know her salary?
It was on this $35 an hour.
Oh, it's on the summer school. She's part of the summer school.
Right.
The list.
The summer school list.
My second question is the 7.6. Is this the then and now? It says 16-17 school year, 17-18 regarding the bill.
Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
Dr.
So at the beginning of the school year, it was more approved for past years because I think we had this discussion last year.
We did.
They bill, bills us, once they receive the fund. So because I didn't identify which year it was, I added it as an amendment. But it was, the money is there and it was already billed.
Another thing, 7.8.
Mhm.
It says 18-19 school year. Is that 18-19 or just 19-20?
This is this school year. The bill was sent, we received the bill, it went to the high school, it should have went to the curriculum office. So we are late getting the bill, and that's why we're putting it on. It went to the high school instead of the curriculum office, and, once we received it, we put it on the agenda to correct.
And last thing, 7.10 is not out of state, it's in state. Southwood Madison is in Ohio.
Right, we put the out of say it's a 120-mile radius for, board approval, so we put that on there, but it's within the state, it's by Dayton. But it's more than 120 miles, so board policy states anything over 120 miles, we have to get board approved. I do want to speak to the fourth grade trip to Columbus. We made an investment in sending our fourth graders. Juanita Brent requested that our students come to the State House, so she's going to take them on a tour of the State House. Fourth grade, the whole fourth grade, I believe 78 students are going. So I think that's going to be a worthwhile trip for our fourth graders. And again, we're trying to provide exposure experiences for our students.
Fantastic.
And I do have to say, Ms. Brent has played a very active role in the community prior to her election, and since she's been elected, she has been working with us hand in hand to assist us in whatever we need at the state level. So her efforts are much appreciated. Any more questions? If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba? Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. At this time, we've come to our place in our board agenda where the board is going to give an update on conferences that we attended during the month of March. 4 of us attended the 2019 National School Board Association's annual conference in Philadelphia over the last weekend of March. And then we had one school board member that attended OSBA's MTA session on the transportation policy. So typical to our public speaking and participation, we do ask each board member to stay within 2 to 3 minutes of their update. So, Mr. Freeman, would you like to go first?
I can, Madam Chair. Over the weekend, and it was actually March 29th through April 1st, myself, President Mitchell, Board Member Gator, and Board Member Muman went to Philadelphia for the National School Board Association Annual Conference. This year it was held in Philadelphia. Actually, me being a member of the National School Board Association Council of Urban Boards of Education, they already have an actual pre-planned package, what we're doing. So over the 4 or 5 actual events that I was present for, what captured me was Saturday, I went to a Crayola, and Jonathan, you can put it up, but it's called Creativity, It's a Joy in Teaching and Learning. What Crayola found out from public education is that a lot of public schools are not looking into the arts. We're not spending enough time in the arts. We're not allocating enough money into the arts. So what they did, they actually went to 2 different public districts in New Jersey, and they started an art program doing creative ideals, and they let the actual scholars give them ideals of what they would want to engage in teaching. And this is actually the program, and I just handed it out to my board members, but it gave some insight. But it was very learning to me, because they did it in 2018, and then, 2017, and then 2018, they got the actual grades. And all of those 2 public schools in their art classes went from a D-level school districts to a B-level school district. So when they looked at it, most of all those students in those 2 public schools in New Jersey, their grades went up. So it just opens the mind for arts in public school. But it was a good presentation. It's something that, Mr. Jolly, I have some more information I can share with you. But it was a good all conference. I did not win my chairmanship for CUBE, which I was a little upset about. But my members talked me off the ledge. But we'll see, because next year's in Chicago, so we'll see. But it was a very good conference, and I look forward to CUBE in September. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Barbara?
Well, first of all, I left my notes at home, but I'm going to say what I remembered that kind of stuck with me. The workshop I went to was Empowering Educators, and the presenters were from Chicago, and they were talking about, they had 35,000 students, and out of that 35,000 students, there was only 2% minority teachers. How do we get our children to want to be educators? They have a program there that they were partnered with 2 universities, and these universities took like 130 kids, and they walked them. They are walking them through how to become educators. It is so important for minorities to see people that look like them. You know, and I'm not sitting here telling you that non-minorities are not excellent teachers, because when my daughter was here, she had a teacher named Miss Minikin. She was the math teacher. She was excellent at what she does. I don't want to take away from anybody, like Miss Busby. I don't want to take away from that. I just want to see more minorities inside of a predominantly black community. That's what Chicago is trying to do. That's what I would like to see. And in saying that, I would like to see a program like that here. And I'm going to put the responsibility of trying to develop a program like that, and I'm going to give Mr. Jolly and Mr. Reynolds the information so they can maybe research it and see what we can do to encourage our young black males to go into education. It's not that they're not qualified, they are qualified. We just don't push our children to go into education. I enjoyed that workshop because of the fact of what they are doing to bring minority into the predominantly school system. They had a mirror, and they called people up from the audience, and they had us, some of them, to look in the mirror and what do you see? How do you feel about yourself? When I look at Tracy, I feel good because I'm looking at someone that I can relate to. And that's what I want for the children. And I think a lot of community want that for our young black children, to pull and do what we can do to bring black educators into our school system.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll finish up NSBA. I was the last person on the team. Member Gator is out with a family emergency this evening, so she wasn't able to present. We had a full weekend of classes, and I tend to try to do what I call my own personal learning tracks. So this year, I focused on strengthening board governance and executive leadership so I can do my best to be my best as I'm sitting in this seat. And the second track that I focused on was courses that were preparing our children to work in the future, meaning you're out of the normal roles. I'm sorry, Ms. Barber, but education wasn't in there. But it was where we're going as a global economy in that workspace. So for the sake of time this evening, I'm going to share what I took in from the board governance and executive leadership space. We did really enjoy a very insightful winter board retreat. So the things that I picked up in Philly were a nice alignment with that. But I did want to dig deeper into finding ways to have greater impact on the greater good for the district. So one of the course tracks was our role as board members in transforming the organizational culture. And it does align very closely with our board goal, number 3, shifting negative cultural and negative influences. In our role as board members, we have to transform our school culture. This transformation will lead to improved organizational culture and student achievement, but it takes a systemic system led by us, the governance team. The benefits of an improved school culture are improved community and stakeholder buy-in regarding district programming and needs. It fosters student achievement for all of our students, increased job satisfaction, and decreased turnover. It improves the social and the emotional needs of our students, and it cultivates the transformation of low-performing schools. We have taken a huge step in the right direction to begin transforming our culture, but we have to continue working on fostering a collaborative environment from the boardroom all the way through every level of our staff. I'd like our board team to delve deeper into the principles of being a professional learning organizational model, which is a set of beliefs our districts would adhere to concerning how the members of Warrensville High City Schools continue collaborating to carry out our mission, vision, values, and goals. A strong PLO system will help us build professional learning communities, which is a group of stakeholders who share collective responsibility for student learning. They work together to seek and share learning information geared at increasing student achievement. We have a good foundation of PLOs and PLCs, but there's still more work we can do to foster stronger collaborations. That particular session led to 2 other sessions that I participated in that focused on distributed leadership. And before I brought this one to the board, I spoke with Mr. Jolly first because I know we're doing a version of it, but what they taught us in Philly was really unique. Distributed leadership empowers members from each school building to build teams to work together toward ensuring the holistic success and well-being of each student in their respective buildings, as well as the staff in those buildings. The board will work with key stakeholders as we did when we developed our 2020 vision, but what goals have been defined at a more granular level at the building level. What team members at each building work toward establishing the goals, building measurements to support success each goal, and how each student and educator and staff members achieving against the stated goals, etc. They did recommend that as the building teams led by the school administrators or the principals, built their teams, they should establish no more than 6 goals, because that's attainable. Some can be short-term, some can be long-term. But it was really an interesting building level management model that our district could potentially benefit from. I was so intrigued by the topic. I didn't like the facilitator that much. She was very self-promoting. So after that session, I went back to my room, went online, and I did some more research to learn more. So I have some websites that I can share with Mr. Jolly. I do have her decks. They're okay. But they weren't the greatest. But there was also an article that I found on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.org that talks about key things to know about distributed leadership. And I thought it was really good. I think our district has done an amazing job to date, establishing our goals, our mission, the values that we want to live and lead by. But we still have work to do. I mean, we've had successes, as we've seen, with retention levels, acquisition levels. We've seen our academic achievement increase. But we still have work to do. And I know that with Mr. Jolly and his team, with the dashboard that you guys put in place, I watched them take those dashboards and they broke it out by the building level. So you all could manage toward academics as well as what other holistic needs were necessary in each building. So I'll get that stuff downloaded and I'll send it to you and the board. There were other classes that I did take. Some of the facilitators unfortunately did not give us handouts, so I did screenshot with my phone slides. So I'm happy to share those with the board as well, but that is my recap of what I took in when we were in Philadelphia. Thank you. Ms. Elba.
So, 2 conferences, 2 workshops. The MTA is for the Masters of Transportation Services, which is something that whomever we have as a business manager as well as transportation should take advantage of. It was basically for me creating policies that surround around keeping the students safe and making sure that our buses are in line with the state. I did speak to them, the bus supervisor. She already utilizes the services. However, that the board will need to consider there is an additional fee for her to continue on so she can benefit from the services that are being offered. I believe it's $500 for the school year. But they've been allowing her to utilize it as an alternate, so she doesn't have to pay right now, but eventually that's something we should look into. But it just really talked about us creating policy as a board for the students to ensure safety. The other one I went to was a leadership workshop for board governance. And actually I do have the handouts that I'll scan and email to you guys. But it just kind of really pointed out that some of the things that we are doing currently may be slightly incorrect, that we kind of really need to really review the board to ensure that we as a board are actually doing what we're supposed to be doing. So those are basically the things that I did. I do want to ask though you guys about your conference that you went to. The programs that you guys are mentioning, are these programs that you are saying that the district could benefit from and you're asking Mr. Jolly to look into it, or are you just saying that these are workshops that you just went to and it's just something that you just saw?
I think I was pretty clear. I
No,
said,
I'm not
you asked the question, so I'm
No, I'm
asking.
not
For me,
talking with you. I was just talking about
Okay.
yours too. But no, yours was very clear. So I was just curious.
Well, I think Mr. Jolly has something already in place regarding, I think it's Future Teachers of America.
Mhm.
I believe he has that already in place. It's just the fact that I would like to see him partnering up with Cleveland State or Akron University to partner up with those universities who have educational programs that we can have our children go to, that they will come in, they will know how many children that we are talking about, and then we can start from there. That's one reason why I asked Mr. Reynolds, because he's the principal there to head the program. However, there also were several teachers that was involved with that program. That if you can pick a couple teachers, Mr. Jolly, that can kind of put that program in place for us. I'm almost sure Akron would not have a problem with that. and Cleveland State, I believe they both would partners with us because of the fact that they do have educational program. And we, as a community, we can get ready to walk our kids, especially our young black male, into the education program. I want to see educators being young black male and young black female, don't take me wrong. And, but I would just like to see us be a part of such a program that we can enrich that.
Yeah, we have a meeting with Cleveland State on May 8th,
Oh,
so we're going down there to meet with the education department. So I would definitely take with your comments
Okay.
with me to that meeting. To
What about
develop.
Akron? Do you,
I do not have a meeting with them, but that's something we can look into.
because they have an education program, right?
Yeah, they do. John Carroll too.
Oh, okay, okay. That's fantastic.
It's Kenya has relationships with Central State already. So we've been conversating with Central State also.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I'd just like to see that program put in place.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Elba, on that transportation one, and was that restructured for board members? Because in my 15 years of being a treasurer,
So-
I've always seen like Elaine Cal, like your transportation directors usually go to that.
So this particular, it's a 9-month series. So it's actually designed for business managers and transportation supervisors. But this particular one that I went to was just designed for board members because it was about policy. So at the end of the 9 series, they actually do get a certificate that they can take and use if they decided to leave the district because it will enhance them.
Okay, yeah, I just never heard of that.
So Ms. Callahan is using it, and it's actually a good tool for her to assist her. It's just that she will need that additional $500 piece so she can continue on, even if she doesn't do the series. So, anything else? No? Okay.
Okay. Thank you, board members.
So, I'm sorry, I do have another question regarding programs. So the Saving Our Daughters, I got a phone call and said that we signed a contract to begin that. We did or did not?
We have not signed any contracts with Saving
So
Our Daughters.
is that a plan for, because I know I had mentioned it to you guys a couple years ago, is that a plan for that to come? Still in talks?
I haven't talked to Mr. Benjamin at all. It's a young lady named Erica Baumgartner who has some connections with something. We've talked to her, but we haven't talked to Mr. Benjamin at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Next on the agenda is item number 9, unfinished business. The baseball field trip that was proposed for May 21st. We did want to bring it back because we said that we would table it at our last regular meeting, at our last, work session meeting. So I just wanted an update from,
Yeah, I can give an update. So, the board can purchase the tickets for the young people. What we found, though, is that once the kids graduate, that we cannot cover them under our insurance policy. So we will not be able to transport them after they graduate. But we can purchase the tickets and give the tickets to the students, and they will have to find their own way to get to the game. So once we get the number, we will submit the requisition, and then we will purchase the tickets, and then the kids will receive them, and they can go to the game.
So you're not gonna have chaperone for the kids?
No. What we found out is that we checked with our insurance, and our insurance stated that once they graduate, that we cannot cover, we won't be able to cover them. If they're on the bus and something happens, we're liable, so we won't be able to transport them.
That's because graduation
Falls before the trip.
before the actual event.
Mr. Reynolds, do you have any idea how many students are we talking about?
My senior advisor started posing these questions to my students. And we have about 15 who currently said that they are committed to coming back to participate in the trip, but she feels that there'll be a few more after they see that the first 15 is interested, there'll be a few more who will be interested as well.
So we're not gonna have a responsible adult with our, I know they just graduated, I understand that.
Right.
But I also look at, if they were my children, I would like for some adult to be there. That's just me. I understand the rules, guys, don't take me wrong. I'm just looking at safety and stuff like that. I just have a problem with sending a group of kids anywhere without.
I have a question, not to cut you off. Michelle, this is all, the tickets are all with NEO, so it's a big block of tickets, right?
Yeah, we have a block.
Yeah, so it's, I know you're going, I was actually thinking about getting a ticket myself. I don't know if any other school administrators were looking to go. I do understand concern about the chaperone though, but it is a big block of tickets.
It's students in, all of Northeast Ohio that will be attending.
In the same area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you.
It's the same area. We have a section.
I thought that's what I understood,
We
yeah.
have a section.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll share your concern also. I just don't see a way around it for us, so.
So we did promise to bring it back. So Dr. Reynolds, you're working with your senior advisor. You guys will stay in touch closely with Mrs. Elba because I do believe the tickets have to be purchased by April 20-something?
Yes, I think it's like the 23rd.
Okay, so,
All right, so if you can get the information to, get the requisition to Dr. Rock, and we can get
You're
it.
done.
okay,
All right.
okay. Thank you. We don't have any new business. We don't have any correspondence, do we,
I
Doctor?
have some new business.
We-
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So our next meeting is what date? May what?
I think it's May 1st.
So
It is,
I actually have a regional meeting that day. And I know we just had a discussion in January to move the date when there's a regional meeting, or are we not moving the date, or are we moving the date? What are we doing? Has there been a discussion?
So, we have been in the last 2 meetings and we've talked about Steve Zanoni and his team coming in on the 1st.
Okay.
And so I don't know if, he's out of the country.
Yeah, he's out of the country.
His son graduated from college. He's over in the Far East. So we wouldn't be able to talk to him until sometime.
24th, he'll be back on the
Latter
24th.
part of next
Mhm.
week. And I don't know when we would have another opportunity to have that meeting. The 1st is a Wednesday.
Well, I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I know it's a work session. I have a regional meeting that day.
Yeah, so what we could do, we can poll the board, I'll poll, and we'll see if Steve's available on Monday the 29th, would Monday work? Or Tuesday the,
We have visioning that day,
okay, that's
Yeah.
right, visioning is which day?
29th and 30th.
So we can't do the 29th and 30th. We'd see if the 2nd might work for May 2nd, that's a Thursday, if it might work for everybody.
doesn't matter, whatever you want to
Does
do.
that work for you, Thursday the 2nd? I know we have to check our schedules. Just
I have
check,
to check my
just
schedule.
check Thursday the 2nd. I'm willing to give up my commitment that I have on Thursday evenings to make the meeting work.
Okay,
So
I'll
I'll
check.
send an email back out to see if the 2nd will work for all parties, Dr. Rock, Mr. Jolly, everyone. Okay? Dr. Rock, did we have any correspondence?
No.
Okay, the only announcements that Mr. Jolly and I wanted to make this evening, as a reminder, the Daddy-Daughter Dance and Math Night is Friday, April 26th, from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at Westwood, excuse me.
Run
And
that
it's
again?
Friday, April 26th, from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at Westwood. I believe each of us has a set of handouts. And it's open to all Westwood students and Eastwood fourth graders, female students and a significant male figure in their lives, dad, stepdad, granddad, uncle, brother, etc. We'll have an evening of dancing, fun, and lasting memories. Like, refreshments will be provided. If there's any questions, please contact Ms. Timmons, and her phone number is on the bottom of the flyer. And then our district-wide SEAM Fair is going to be from 4 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, May 8th. For those of, well, you guys are always here, but it's a fun event. I know as a board member, I really look forward to coming and seeing what each of the schools, each of the grades are doing, so looking forward to it. I know in my absence yesterday, Ray talked about it at the council meeting, because we do visit the various, our Tri-City community city council meetings, so we do share the news of what's happening. So I'm looking forward to this year's STEAM Fair. Mr. Jolly, was there anything else?
Oh, no, that's pretty much it.
Are we talking about the, email that we received for the students going to Tri-C for the competition?
No, we're not. There are legal implications, and we're not able to talk about that in a public session.
Madam Chair, I do have a question for
We're
Superintendent.
not able to,
Which one you?
which one are you talking
Talk
about?
about the one that Mr. Jenkins sent out. I'm not talking
Oh,
about that.
oh,
Oh,
I'm
you
sorry,
talking
because both of them are kind of connected,
Yeah,
so I
know, no, I'm
apologize.
talking about-
Gotcha.
Okay.
The eighth
The eighth,
presentation.
the presentation,
That's coming up.
that's coming up.
It's April
today.
24th.
Yeah.
We will send out more information on where it's at. I
It's
think
at the Jerry Sue Thornton building.
Jerry
Yeah,
Sue
because
Thornton.
he's asking for members that are interested in attending to let him know ASAP.
Yeah.
So no, I can't go.
Yeah, we need to respond. I'll be there. Let me see who else.
So if you guys are interested, just let him know. Let him, Mr. Jolly, know.
Madam Chair, I just had a question for Superintendent Jolly. When is prom?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Reynolds, this is May 12th?
May 10th.
May
May
10th.
10th is prom?
May 10th?
May 10th. Thank you.
It's at Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Oh, that's
What
nice.
time is lineup?
4?
Generally,
It's been about 5 or 6.
yeah, 5.
Okay, just keep us posted. And while we have you guys here, please keep us posted. We like to come to the open houses. We like to come to all the building level events. And something is happening and all the board members aren't getting the emails, the calls, notifications. So I'm gonna put y'all on blast because you have a board who is engaged in all of the school buildings. So please let us know because we do enjoy coming and seeing the parents, especially seeing what the kids are doing. That's our time to really, as board members, be in the schools and seeing what's happening. We come to a whole lot of other things, but we want to be able to come to all those as well at the elementary level. So I'm serving notice. All right, if all hearts and minds are in order, can I have a move to adjourn this evening's meeting?
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn the regular meeting, April 17th, 2019.
And I second that.
Have a second.
Aye.
I'm sorry, thank you. It's been moved in second. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes. I hope for those, the meeting is adjourned, and I hope for those who are living in the city that you head on over to Corporate College for the State of the City Schools, the State of the City Annual Meeting.
How you doing?
So you guys can talk at the beginning of our meetings when we have the public participation at the very beginning. At the beginning, if you fill out